Oh,
How many of you wake up every day perplexed by the amount of choices that you have to make? For some, it comes easy. For others, it doesn't. The ability to make decisions is, without relying on others to do so does not come easy. Some might call this a sign of depression, but I see it as the effects due to overwhelming visual pollution. In a world where technology and advancements are so vast, it's hard to not be plagued by your own choices. I know I am. I wake up every day thinking, how do I do my best with all these options? There are too many. I want to go and do what I want to do. Are we plagued by procrastination or distracted by the amount of things that we have in this world? Will it get harder as we get older? How do we as college students prepare ourselves for the world without having the confidence and the ability to make decisions? A psychiatrist and professor by the name of Barry Schwartz explains this idea about maximizing the welfare of people through choice by maximizing their freedom to have more options and more choices. You can maximize the ability for choice and in turn maximize the ability, I didn't explain it, sorry. Yeah, the more choice he explains, sorry, let me start over. He explains this old idea of the more choices that you have, that the more freedom you have and the more welfare you have, and this is like an idea that I think people thought for a long time that existed, that really worked, and in essence it does. When you have more choices, I mean you do have more options, but it also can plague people in making decisions. And so there's this new idea that less is more. For example, today the ability to go to the doctor and say, here's my problem, I'm sick, and I need one solution doesn't really happen, not today. In the past, doctors, you go to the doctor, you're sick, you just tell him what's wrong and he'll give you a simple answer, a solution. And today, you go to the doctor and he gives you one option, he gives you two options usually, or three options depending on how it is. And this is actually a form of patient autonomy is what they call it. The doctor gives you option A and option B, and the doctor says, here are your options and here you go and that's it. And you can't say what option would you do? You know, the doctor just has two options for you. The decision-making responsibility now has been taken out of the professional's hands. It's now in the hands of your sick self. I don't know if that really kind of like said that right, but it's more or less like you go and he says, here you have an illness. You have this option and that option. What would you do? And it's like they're the professional. They're supposed to tell you what they feel like is the best option for you, but they leave that in your hands. We are continually suffering from different forms of visual pollution that are not able to have the power of choice, thus making opportunities less accessible. One thing we have to realize is technology and advancements will always be a constant factor. So how can we as the people on the other side of the cause make opportunities accessible? There's three things I want to talk about. One is the power of choice, the ability to see opportunities, and what one individual can do to improve the ability to make decisions. What is the power of choice? The power of choice is the ability to have control over your life rather than your life having control over you. I can't count how many times a problem or decision has come up. My first instinct is to make more problems out of it, instead of stepping out for a second and realizing that I have to find a solution. I know when I go to the mall or the store, I find myself feeling unsatisfied. Most of the time I go out of the store without a real list of things I need or want, and I end up spending most of my money on the things I do not need. A possible explanation for this is something that they call paralysis, and this is what Schwartz explains in a TED Talk that he does. And he says, a consequence of having too many choices, even if we manage to overcome the paralysis, we end up less satisfied than we would be if we had fewer options. The more options there are, the easier it is to regret anything at all that is wrong with the decision you made. what can we do to improve the ability? Physically get rid of too much. One thing I tell myself is when I clean my closet out in my house is that everything I have is replaceable with new things and better things. Emotionally create a room for opportunity. Creating room for opportunity can be physically or emotionally. Like I said, for everything that you take away, you find a bigger and better thing. I find this to be pertinent in my life right now is that I am a student and I'm continually making new friends and connections, and I realize how important it is to let go of people as it is to gain people. And the last thing, that's what happened, I missed the whole sheet. I was like, this doesn't even make sense. Whatever. And then some of the solutions I have, or one of them was to lower my expectations, or lower your expectations, make lists, create opportunities through physically and emotionally decluttering your life, adding things, people, places, whether it's objects or it's you're in the public and you're out shopping and you're trying to buy something, and there's so many options out there and you can't just make one choice. I think that the more that we do our research and the more that people can write down things, the better life goes. I just need this piece of paper so bad. So anyways, creating opportunities by eliminating the negative in your life and bringing in the positive. Making lists. I know that making lists is like one of the most important things that I've kind of had to do, and obviously one of them today wasn't leaving my whole entire thing at home and not being able to like get to class and have it. It was just such a like wake-up call coming into class and having to give this speech on how to make better decisions. And one thing that I kind of thought that was interesting for me was that I came into class today to give this speech, and this is something I've worked on for quite a while. It's like decluttering, creating opportunities, making lists, and lowering my expectations and whatnot. And I almost didn't walk into class. I almost didn't want to come to class, and I had to realize that I had to kind of turn that thought around, especially having wrote this today and like kind of practicing it and getting through it and whatnot, and realizing that I need to make new opportunities and just try to strive and sort of come to class instead of avoiding class like I normally would. And to just, speak to the professor and say, here's my problem, where's my solution? And that's something that I've kind of really just encouraged the people to always see, that there's always a solution. We never have problems. Even when we think we have problems, there's always just solutions there. So that's kind of what I want.